Halfway through the year, 2022 is shaping up to be as dynamic as ever for the streaming space. In this video, we're going to cover 5 events shaping the streaming space.
We'll start with big trends like subscriber counts and types of services people continue to prefer. Then we'll discuss what's brewing between Netflix and Roku.
We'll look at live sports streaming and who's getting into it, specifically covering Apple and Disney+. Then we'll look at bundling, which is where streaming is moving. And we'll wrap up with how video on-demand services are impacting the feature film industry, specifically how movies are being produced and released.
Let's start with subscriber numbers. They're up across the industry. Really no surprises here. Civic Science released a report showing that there are now more cord cutters than cable subscribers. May was a huge month for streaming services. Nielsen reported that streaming was up 2% in May. Summer is usually a slow time for TV watching, and cable and broadcast TV viewership dropped by 3.5% in May. That was expected. What wasn't was the rise in streaming usage. Experts think it was largely driven by Stranger Things 4 dropping on Netflix and the new Obi-Wan series dropping on Disney+.
Speaking of Netflix, despite all of its recent troubles, it still had the largest share of streaming usage among all streaming services with 6.8%. Following close behind was YouTube and YouTube TV and Hulu Live. Prime Video, Disney+, and HBO Max rounded out the next 3 spots for May viewing.
Yeah, and as you can see in this chart, other streaming took the lead spot. This category includes any high bandwidth streaming, including free ad-supported services, as well as other streaming services with smaller subscriber counts, so Fubo TV and Frndly would be in there.
When you look at the trends within streaming services, you can see that other section continuing to gain ground on more popular and expensive options. That's a trend that we've been seeing for the past year or so. There continues to be a rise in people using free ad-supported streaming services like Tubi and Pluto TV. A report from Comscore shows that Americans are adopting ad-supported streaming services at a faster rate than those without ads. The report details that usage of free services grew 8% faster than paid subscriptions.
This makes total sense. People are tightening their belts financially and looking for ways to save. Streaming is an easy candidate. Cable is another easy thing to cut for people looking to save money. When you look at trends from that Nielsen report, you see a steady chipping away at cable. Cable subscriptions are down 3% year over year, and streaming is up nearly 6%. The Streamable reports that cord cutting is up 31% this year, with Comcast, Charter, and Dish Network seeing the biggest losses. Nearly 40% of Americans pay for streaming services now. As Horowitz research points out, the number of Americans paying for cable TV has dropped dramatically. In 2020, 81% of Americans paid for cable or satellite TV. Last year that was 63%, and this year it's down to 51%.
That's drastic, but not surprising. However, streaming services continue to face challenges retaining customers. We're on the outer edge of the proliferation phase, and there is still plenty of choice for consumers. However, contraction is coming. Choice is going to start to be limited somewhat as streaming services move to bundling, and that's our second trend. While cable is declining, streaming services are following its model, and we hate that. But it is what is happening, and it helps to remember that a number of the most popular streaming services are run or backed by massive media companies. A move to bundling is absolutely underway.
As the Streamable reported, streaming execs foresee rebundling and consolidation as the future of streaming. We could not agree more. HBO Max and Discovery Plus are working their way toward a bundle, and as part of that, they've begun offering a special deal to HBO Max subscribers to get Discovery Plus. With ads for 99 cents a month for 4 months, or without ads for $4 a month for 4 months.
We've subscribed to both services at times and didn't receive the offer, so it seems to be a highly targeted ad. And while the timing is questionable, it seems likely that they're doing this to try to get more subscribers onto both platforms so they won't lose lots of people when they do merge into one app. They know that their audiences don't overlap much. Less than half of U.S. Discovery Plus subscribers are also HBO Max customers, so people are much more likely to prefer one service over the other. Combining them into one platform reduces choice for subscribers of both, because invariably you will be forced to pay more to have access to the combined content, whether or not you want it all. And that's what we don't like about bundling. It reduces choice for cord cutters.
Yeah, and it's not just these two companies. When Hulu Live raised its rates most recently, it justified the price increase by saying it was giving subscribers Disney Plus and ESPN Plus for free. But what if you don't want that content? You don't have a choice. You get it anyways.
All of this has people wondering if Disney, which now owns about 67% of Hulu, is going to remove the ability to sign up for just Hulu in favor of forcing people to buy the Hulu plus Disney plus ESPN plus bundle. And they wouldn't be the only ones returning to the bundled approach. Paramount Plus and Showtime are also attempting to offer a bundled service to streamers. And they often run promos combining the two services, so it wouldn't be surprising to see them combine eventually.
No one has been hurt more by this bundling move than Hulu. It will be losing next-day streaming rights for all of NBC Universal shows as they move them to Peacock. And in about 6 years, it will lose its deal with Epix, which gave it 2,500 plus movies that are moving to Paramount Plus and Prime Video.
The result, ultimately, for streamers is less choice, higher prices, and more content you don't want or didn't ask for in order to get the content you do want.
Let's move to our third item now, live sports streaming. This is an extremely dynamic area of the streaming space. That's mostly because of how popular live sports are. We've already reported on Amazon Prime Video getting rights to stream Thursday night games beginning in the fall, but NFL Sunday Ticket is still up for grabs, and it's looking increasingly like Apple TV Plus could end up with it.
The streaming service recently acquired rights to stream Major League Soccer games beginning in 2023. And when you dig into the details of the deal, you see that many, but not all, of the MLS matches will air on Apple TV+. Some will be available on a yet-to-be-defined MLS-specific streaming service.
The move is interesting because we also know that the NFL is preparing to launch its own streaming service, reportedly at a potential price of $5 a month. Original team-created content, radio broadcasts, podcasts, and other non-live content is likely to be on the NFL app, but also potentially in-market games not airing on NFL Sunday Ticket.
If Apple ends up with Sunday Ticket, it could employ a similar approach as it is with Major League Soccer and the MLB. Subscribers to Apple TV Plus would get a wide selection of professional soccer, baseball, and football games, and then also have the option to add on more through the individual sports streaming apps. It's an interesting model and one that chips into Disney's sports dominance through ESPN ever so slightly.
Speaking of ESPN, it looks like an option for people to sign up for ESPN networks directly isn't in the works anytime soon. On an episode of the Sports Media Podcast hosted by Richard Deitch, ESPN chairman Jimmy Pitaro said that while ESPN is considering a direct-to-consumer option, nothing is in the works right now. He said, quote, "We don't have a date," unquote. ESPN Plus is gaining subscribers and doing well, so it looks like we will have to keep waiting for any kind of opportunity to get ESPN networks without a cable or live TV streaming service subscription.
Another piece of sports news is that Sinclair announced a soft launch date for its Bally Sports Plus streaming service. It announced it was launching its local sports streaming service in 5 markets on June 23rd, with a full launch slated for the fall. Detroit, Kansas City, Miami, Milwaukee, and Tampa will get local MLB games this summer at a price of $20 a month. This is something we'll keep our eyes on and report on later this year as we learn more about the new streaming service and can report on its content.
Apple does seem to be coming for some of what Disney and major networks have had locked down for decades. And it's interesting given that Disney just lost Cricket League rights in India, where it is trying to build subscribers to its Disney Plus platform.
Yeah, while cricket may not be wildly popular in the US, it is in India, and the games may be responsible for at least half of Disney Plus's new subscribers in that country. And what's most interesting about it to us is that it's another instance of bundling. Live sports are some of the most expensive content to get rights to stream. And when services like Apple TV Plus, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, and even Netflix, which is looking at acquiring rights to Formula One racing, spend money to acquire sports, they're doing it to acquire subscribers who want that content. But what if you subscribe to one or more of those platforms now for its non-sports content? The monthly price is sure to go up to pay for the sports content, which means you'll end up paying more for content you don't care about.
Yeah, and it's another example of reduced choice, which again we absolutely hate. Now let's look at a fourth item, a potential merger between Netflix and Roku. Rumors are beginning to circulate that Netflix may be interested in purchasing Roku. That would help Netflix launch its ad-supported tier. If the two can't agree or don't come together, it could mean trouble for people to get Netflix through Roku, which would be a huge issue. However, there haven't been any solid actual negotiations yet, so at this point, all of this is largely rumor. Let's hope it stays that way.
Beyond the Netflix button on your Roku remote not working, it would be pretty inconvenient for both services. Over the past year and a half, Roku has had trouble negotiating with Peacock, HBO Max, and YouTube TV. Roku and Amazon Fire TV both ask for a portion of ad inventory in exchange for letting streaming services like Netflix and HBO Max appear on their platforms. Peacock and HBO Max in particular did not want to give that up. What will Netflix decide to hold fast on as it launches an ad-supported plan?
We'll definitely keep an eye on this issue, as it could be a very interesting one as the year goes on. Now let's touch on a final development we're seeing in the streaming space right now, and that's how streaming is affecting feature film releases. Streaming has changed the way films are produced, distributed, and released. Particularly during COVID, many Hollywood norms were turned upside down. As movie theaters sat empty, studios dropped feature films direct to streaming services like HBO Max and Disney+. Netflix suddenly wasn't the only platform carrying Oscar contenders. In some ways, people aren't asking, when is a movie coming to the theaters? They're asking, when will it be available to stream?
Absolutely. And it's not just blockbusters that are heading to streaming platforms. Low-budget genres aren't running in the box office, and producers are turning to streaming platforms to release their work. That's great for cord cutters who have enjoyed access to great content they can enjoy from their own home for a reasonable price. But that trend won't stick forever. As the number of streaming platforms consolidate and reduce, filmmakers' options will also reduce. Things could look really different a year or two from now.
Right now, studios and film producers are approaching streaming services directly to buy and distribute their movies. What happens when there just aren't as many buyers? It could still mean movies going straight to streaming services, but fewer of them. That could result in higher prices for consumers.
Whatever happens, it's a trend we'll continue to watch, and it's just another indicator of how dynamic the streaming space is right now. Well, that does it for this video. Let us know what you're watching in the streaming space in the comments below. What do you think is most interesting from our list, and what did we forget?
Yeah, and if you haven't already, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you can get all our latest news and reviews when they drop. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.